Welcome back. Today we got to talk Federal Reserve, lots of Tesla, Andrew Tate, and Elon Musk. It's like the three T's. Tate, Trump. What was the other one? Tesla. Not the Elon part. Yeah, anyway. Yeah. So we'll hit that. Israel-Palestine. A lot of updates to cover. Actually, possibly some softening on the stance of Israel. I'll kind of interject that little surprise in. But let's get started. First, I want to start briefly here with the Fed. Looks like Bostic suggesting, hey, look, you know, these numbers are great, that we're on the slow and steady path to getting to that 2% inflation level, and that we're close to that level where, who knows, maybe we can get to our target, quote, without seeing a recession, says Bostic. This comes after the Atlanta Fed GDP numbers came plummeting down to about 1.9%. This morning, of course, we also got a jobs report, which, Mike, I know you've got numbers on that, so we'll have to pull that up. Markets seem to be pretty happy, probably not necessarily solely because of what's going on with the jobs report, but what the jobs report actually did to the rest of the market, which was drive the 10-year down 9.2 basis points, now sitting at 4.57, down off that 5% number, finally going in the right direction for risk assets like stocks, obviously. Brent ending under $85 a barrel. That's great. I'm seeing oil prices trend down again. And gold just breaking under 2,000 again, usually a fear asset there. A lot of money sitting on the sidelines, leading a lot of people to wonder, if there's a lot of cash on the sidelines in money markets, are people going to dump into bonds and stocks once they're convinced Fed rates have peaked? What do you guys see out there? And what do we got about Biden and these job numbers?
Yeah, so you obviously covered a lot of the jobs numbers today, and it's been great because obviously like the 10-year's been going down. The market ended on a solid boom today. We have S&P up 0.94%, the Dow's up 0.66%, and NASDAQ up 1.38%. Some of our biggest movers today included Expedia, which was up 18.84%. Kind of good for the travel there. And then Cloudflare, I'm no longer poor after complaining about it yesterday. We're up 13.86% today.
Wasn't it down like 13% yesterday?
It was down like, I think 9% at peak at one point, but yeah, we're good now.
That's awesome.
I've recovered.
Net up. Is it roughly? Net up. That's awesome. Literally, net. That's the ticker symbol,
too. That's the ticker.
Too.
It's a brilliant ticker.
That's great. Okay, so what do we got with Biden? I heard Biden released a statement on jobs. That's I think Biden was bragging about his jobs numbers.
Biden economics for the win.
Is that what he was blaming for, or applauding for the jobs numbers this morning? Okay,
I didn't send it to you, just search
anyway, Biden's bragging about the jobs numbers, and this makes sense. This is what a president does, right? So Biden gets excited, as any president does, about job numbers. One of the things that's concerning, though, is that household number. We talked about that in this morning's video. The household number coming in at negative 348,000. The problem, though, with that number is how volatile the household survey is, where you find out how many individual people are actually employed by calling them at home. Mike, do you have that chart handy that I airdropped you? That's going to show, chart's ready, Christian. Let's just show that. Not that one. The one I airdropped you about the difference between the household survey and the payroll survey. The beautiful thing is when we see this chart, you're going to see this sort of compression. There it is. You can see the orange bars are much more consistent than the white bars. The white bars are the household survey data. That's data that is collected when somebody responds and says, yes, I have a job. The problem with that is when you compare that to the orange numbers are businesses counting people at jobs. Orange numbers indicate potentially people with multiple jobs. So a lot of folks are countering Biden's cheering, saying, hey, when this household number gets even smaller, what you're saying is Bidenomics is actually encouraging people to have multiple jobs, and you actually have less net people working. We technically, based on the numbers that came out this last cycle here, over the last 3 months, lost jobs with that big negative households print. So it does make you wonder what's really happening in the economy. And quite frankly, I think a big bottom line to remember as an investor or as just an individual in the economy is the charts are compressing, right? The numbers on a month-to-month basis are volatile, but you can clearly see the orange line compressing down. Even the average of the white is compressing down. And what that means is we're either trending closer towards a recession or a soft landing. But, you know, McKay, yesterday, I think you were talking about how is anybody actually going to care that we're in a recession? Or if today they came out and said, we're in a recession, is everybody just going to be like, Thank God. Now we don't have to look forward to a recession anymore, and they'll cut rates.
That's how I felt in 2022 when it came out. It's like, oh, now we can officially say we're in a recession. But then you had the Biden administration come and say, we're not really in a recession.
We're redefining it.
We're changing the definition. It's like, it's just a couple of numbers that change. Yes, the pain is felt on the way down, but you don't really realize that pain until you can't put a title on that pain until you look back. It's just like, I feel like something's worse. And then you have
well,
your own
usually
anecdotes.
stocks bottom close to when a recession is starting. Yeah, so it could be very interesting. Anyway, so Mikey, what do you got for us? You had some numbers for us you wanted to.
Sure. Well, here's the Biden bragging about his jobs over here on the screen.
Oh, you got it. Oh, there it is. Okay, it was his tweet. We just learned our economy created 150,000 jobs in October. Again, it depends on which measure you're reading. I wonder if he vacillates depending on which number's higher.
You think he's doing that?
His staff. Bringing the total since I took office to 14 million. That's been a big line of contention, too. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, you know, Biden's bragging about how many jobs he's created. But quite frankly, when you come out of a hole of COVID and, you had 7 million people lose their jobs or whatever, it's a little easier to add jobs again. But anyway, on top of an unemployment rate that has stayed under 4% for 21 months straight. This, I will say, that part realistically is impressive. I mean, whether that's Biden, whether that's just a stronger economy after COVID, people, whatever, still spending money, whatever it is, under 4%, that it is great. It's something that does foster a strong economy.
How much influence does the president actually have on job creation?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Look, I would say that if you didn't have the subsidies to manufacture chips, you wouldn't have Intel building plants in, Ohio. You wouldn't have TSM building plants in Phoenix. We were on their property driving around as they're developing out there, taking longer than usual, which is normal with construction. But those are probably a perfect example of jobs that we wouldn't have in America if we didn't have the funding for the tax credits for these chips.
Yeah.
You could say the same thing about Enphase bringing over their battery and microinverter manufacturing facilities to the United States. This onshoring we're seeing, it's inflationary, but it's creating jobs.
Yeah.
So there are definitely policies that can contribute to job creation. And look, every plant, which could be 20 to 50,000 worker plant, every one of these large facilities, that's a big difference on a month-over-month figure. If every month you have another plant opening up and there's a potential for another 20, 30, 40, 50,000 jobs, it's a big deal. So it'll be really interesting to see how the economy proceeds. But let's just say I'm pretty optimistic with the research we're doing. We were just discussing a piece in the office about how the amount of institutional money and the amount of cash that people have on the sidelines in money markets. So individuals with cash on the sidelines and institutional money in cash. When those levels reach their peak, you align with the bottom of the stock market.
Yep.
And that line is skyrocketing right now. The problem is we don't know where the peak is, but at least the historic peak is where we're looking right now. So, what else we got?
Yeah, even though jobs are up by 150,000, it was a little bit under expectations, which I think was 170,000. Unemployment also ended up going up. But so investors overall have boosted their holdings in money market accounts. And this is based on a piece by Wall Street Journal about how money market accounts could actually be burning you.
Yeah.
And so we have a total of a record $5.6 trillion in these money market accounts right now. And this is both individual investors and institutions alike. So asset managers now have roughly 1/5 of their portfolios in money market accounts.
Jeez, 1/5.
1/5.
Wow. So that means, that's like saying you go to a money manager and they're saying 20% of your money, just put it into a mutual fund. Wasn't there a guy that reached out to us, without obviously talking about anyone's sensitive information, but somebody had their money in a mutual fund who had their money or some kind of fund with some kind of money manager, and the money manager had a good chunk of the person's cash sitting in a money market account earning 1% or something like that?
Yeah, it was something around.
It was super low, and we're looking at it going, this is like 4% below market that they're earning on their cash. The reason we know that is because people come to us for financial advice. You can as well. You can go to stackhack.com and we'll review your portfolio. We're only doing that for a limited time because we're about to get really busy with HouseHack, so we're going to finish out these videos over the next 3 weeks here, and then we might be closing the door to that. But anyway, if you wanted actual licensed financial advice, you can go to stackhack.com to learn more about that. But yeah, it's just crazy. Some of the things we're seeing done out there just feel like robbery. But anyway, so okay, yeah. And then in addition to missing on the jobs report, yeah, we did get the revision downwards. But really the question is, how much is what's going to matter more, being in a recession or rates going down? That'll be. I want rates down. That's all I'm looking at.
Yeah, recession always comes after the fact. You find out you've been in a recession.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Some things to note about these money market accounts too, because I know they can sound really appealing right now, but obviously there's going to be fees in some cases too. On top of that, it's never going to beat inflation, right? The whole reason that these rates are so high right now is because all the rates are high. So you're still not going to beat the inflation rate by putting your money in a money market. And it's boosting your income immediately. So that means your taxes are going up too. It's basically the same reason why some people don't like dividend investing.
Yep, that's me.
Yeah, it's like statistically you're going to make the same amount of money dividend investing in growth stocks. The difference is with growth stocks, you can kind of prolong the taxes until you're ready to.
You need stock
trade.
dividends. That's what you need. Stock dividends, not cash dividends. If you're going to do a dividend, just give me more stock.
Agreed.
That's it, because you don't have to pay taxes on that right away. It's great. Anyway, so okay, good. So I want to hear about some of the juice. Give me some of the Tesla juice. Tesla. I hear we got Tesla. Elon Musk had some big announcement about Giga Berlin.
Yep.
Let's hit that, and then let's hit this $4 trillion prediction here. So what's going on with Elon and this Giga Berlin visit that everyone's talking about?
That's right. He was just over at Giga Berlin, and they talked about a couple of things. They talked about plans for the aesthetic of the plant and how they're going to be adding art all over it. I don't know why that was so significant.
That was actually reported on?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine a factory gets a little drab.
That's what he's saying. There's like a whole concrete section of the factory, and they're like, we're going to add a bunch of art over there.
I mean, just leave the door unlocked. A bunch of graffitiists will come in and take care of it for. Like, there's a lot of graffiti in Germany. Have you ever seen the Berlin Wall? Oh wait, that's an artifact. Oh, okay. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, he also mentioned a little something about the $25,000. Although now I'm seeing 25,000 euros, so maybe like $30,000 Tesla. And he made an announcement that they were going to be building at least the European spec one in Berlin.
I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, that this is Elon Musk telling us that the 25K car is going to be so much smaller that it won't actually do well in the U.S. market. Because if we make it in Berlin and then import it to the United States, the cost is going to be way higher because we're going to have tariffs on it. So because then it's like importing a Mercedes or a BMW to America. Well, why are they expensive here? Why are all taxis and cop cars in Germany, Mercedes and Volkswagens and Beamers? Because no taxes, no tariffs, basically, no additional tariffs.
There is speculation that they're going to make the American one in Mexico eventually, and maybe make the Asian one in China.
That makes sense. That you actually have continent dependent cars. Right, so India can get like the three-wheeled, the 3-wheeled version, right? Which I don't think Elon's into 3 wheels, but the point is that you create something different for each market because Europeans are into like station wagons or smaller cars, right? We're into SUVs and trucks. That's a very different average, right? So like if the average in America is SUV and truck, that's big compared to station wagon and small sedan. So wouldn't be surprised if that's why you're starting with maybe a 25,000 euro. Also a funny way to kind of play the game a little bit because technically that's not a $25,000 car anymore because it's euros. Although they were at parity last summer. McKay, when we were in Europe last year, they were at 1-to-1. Remember we were in that hotel on the treadmills?
On the treadmill, yeah. We were walking on the
naked.
treadmill.
No, okay.
That was the sauna, not the treadmill.
Nice. So, but yeah, I find that really interesting. It's probably going to be smaller car, shorter range. In my opinion, you could easily do this. It's just the American audience isn't going to go for it. Just make the battery pack 1/3 of what it is now. Put a 25 kW battery pack in it. The car's then much lighter because the battery actually weighs a lot itself, and so it gets a 100-mile range. Fine for me.
Big deal, yeah. Over there, they just need it for city commutes. If you're going across country anyway, which obviously is very different in Europe than here, because here, California is about the size of Germany, I would say.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no kidding. It's crazy. You can get around. You can almost fly. Well, actually, you can. You can fly from Dusseldorf to Paris in about 50 minutes, and I think if you add about 15 to 20 minutes, you can get to London. Okay, if I take off from San Diego and fly an hour and 20 minutes north in California, I've barely left the state.
Oh yeah, you're still in the state probably.
Yeah, I'm in like Reading.
Yeah.
It's like, right. What the heck? California's so large and Europe is so small relative to that. So really crazy. But I would say smaller car, smaller battery pack. I don't think Americans are going to be okay with a smaller battery pack. It's going to take a while. You still have a lot of people here that are like, well, I don't want to charge it all the time. I think Europeans are going to be more okay with that, and Chinese absolutely will be.
Yeah.
Asia Pacific absolutely will be okay with a smaller battery pack. That's how you get a 25K car. Quite frankly, you could do that with the Model 3 today. Shrink the Model 3 a little bit, make it a 25K pack, boom, you got a 25K W pack.
Would that cannibalize the Model 3?
Oh, probably. Yeah. Oh,
Then
for sure.
You'd be down to like Model whatever you want to call it, 2, which
Yeah.
is for fun.
Yeah.
Model 2, X, Y, S.
Yeah,
then
right, because
truck.
you cannibalize the 3. Yeah, so it has to be enough different. I think really what happens is the 3 is the car you buy when you want the range, and then the 2 is the one you get when you don't want the range. But the problem is, I think a lot of people will then sit down and actually go through the logic. And when you go through the logic, you're like, well, do I really need a big battery? So then instead of buying for your family 2 3s, you buy a 2 and a 3. So yeah, there's some cannibalization risk. But again, that's where Elon's goal is. Sell them full self-driving for 12K.
Yeah, 'cause those margins have to be super tight on that cheaper one.
Not necessarily. If the battery's a third the size, battery's a big cost. You
it's
stamp
still,
it together.
You still have to put the battery in.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying.
What's the variable cost? That's the question.
Yeah. It would be interesting. I'm sure that's all part of the calculus of coming
Yeah,
out.
because it
with
still
a car
needs
like
all
that.
the same parts as a 3. It'll just be a slightly smaller pack.
Yeah. What else can we really remove? I feel like every generation of a Tesla, they're removing more and more things.
Yeah.
The QR codes.
Yeah.
Earnings call.
Yeah.
Elon sleeps on the factory, guys.
Yeah. Right.
Sleeps in the factory.
To show you an update on who's using the North American charging standard, I have this on my screen. Just a really, really brief. Who's adopted it? Who has not yet adopted it? This is a Sawyer Merritt tweet, but just puts it into perspective. Like they're really taking over the charging game here. A couple I'm not surprised to see, like Volkswagen still on the red side, Stellantis. Those are 2 of the big 3, as we say, like the big 3 auto manufacturers. And I don't think it's a coincidence that as soon as those guys started pulling out of EVs and going, EVs aren't working for us, all this FUD has been hitting the news again in this like last month or so.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think that this adoption of the charging standard is actually just like a net positive for all of these companies because everybody tried to get charging going. You look at like ChargePoint and Electrify America and all this stuff. Nobody could do it. Tesla was the only company that could figure it
I'm
out.
surprised. Like, I'm not surprised, but I think it would be really beneficial for Lucid to join because the car is great, but people.
So you
just
could
don't
add like
trust-
10 drivers?
People just don't. that'd be like a 10x. Kevin. People just don't trust Electrify America and Lucid, but
Because they're terrible.
But Lucid has these batteries that are like quote unquote like revolutionary and can have the most distance of any other sedan. Yet nobody wants to use the full capacity of the battery because they're afraid of charging.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. Look, charging any car, any electric car with anything but a Tesla car charger, sucks. It's that simple. Unless you're at home, you plug it in at home. Who cares?
Are the Rivian ones any good? They have their own proprietary chargers.
They use
too.
Electrify. They use
Didn't
Electrify.
Didn't they just adopt the Tesla standard?
Oh yeah,
they're
Rivian's on the
chart.
list.
Yeah. Okay.
And actually,
well, there
I
you go.
misspoke. So the 2 of the big 3, this is Ford and GM over here who have adopted it. Toyota kind of, I would consider like a big 4, but they're using it too. So it really is just Stellantis left on the right who hasn't adopted it out of the big manufacturers.
Yeah. Right. What's interesting is right now there's a big hit target on Toyota and Tesla actually for unionization. That is a risk factor for costs. Now, I personally don't think that matters so terribly much as an investor because and we're going to talk about Ron Barron's $4 billion prediction or $1 trillion prediction. Talk about that.
Not $4 billion,
yeah, right.
please.
Yeah. But I actually believe that the unionization issue, it's not personally, the way I look at it, that big of a deal because the more you unionize, the more Tesla's going to emphasize building that Tesla robot. It's basically self-cannibalizing. So people who are Tesla workers might potentially be risking short-sightedness by unionizing. Now, I still think there's a likelihood that unions could end up prevailing. We could probably leave that chart, Christian. I think that one of the risks you face is a temporary stock market fear, though. There will be a fear that, unionization is just going to kill margins or whatever at Tesla, and then the stock has a negative reaction as unions start to form. But in the long term, I actually don't think it's a really valid long-term concern. Really, if you pay union benefits or whatever, I think you'll be able to attract the best talent in the factories, and it actually could be a net positive to manufacturing and getting to robotics and automation.
Is that just for factory workers or engineers as well?
Usually, it's just the line workers, blue collar. You see, I don't know. Haven't seen really a software engineering union. I don't know that that's necessary, just because union or engineering pay is so competitive. Right, with the purpose of the unions, and one of the reasons they're so attractive for people is that you're conducting labor usually that somebody can learn relatively quickly. And that's not to try to minimize the job, because there's obviously skill with it, but you could do a lot of a potential factory job with less training than having a computer science degree or actually understanding coding or whatever. So the problem with that is that brings wages down, because it means you can just get anybody to start working and training in these lines. This is like an Amazon seasonal worker. Can an Amazon seasonal worker that can get trained in 48 hours, are they, do they really have a moat around their employment? No. Then that's why they get laid off right after the season. That's why they're called seasonal workers. So when you don't have a moat, but somebody needs to do the job, then you have to try to create a moat. And that's what unions do. They create a moat to try to protect those workers. And their moat is striking. It's collective bargaining. So that's how you increase the wages for a job that you could otherwise just train somebody else to replace. But the problem is, if your line strikes, your production gets hurt, and now you lose millions of dollars in revenue, so you may as well pay more, even though the work would otherwise be replaceable. So as a worker, I would, if I was a factory worker, I would, try not to be a factory worker anymore. What can I do to get, graduate, essentially, right? But B, I would absolutely want to be in a union. 100%. If I was a trucker, I'd be in a truckers union. If I was a plumber, I'd be in a guild. If I was on a factory line, I would absolutely want to be in a union. I would unionize. Dude, I'd be like emailing that guy. What's like the UAW leaders guy or whatever? I'd be like, yo, pay me this, and I got 50 people ready to go, or I'd start collecting little names or whatever. It's like whatever, This is why Elon hates me. I'm just kidding. I don't know, maybe
That's
not.
not why. Yeah.
Whatever. So but I do think unionization makes sense for the individual. I just think that even though it could be a temporary setback for Tesla, and I think it's likely to come, in the long term, Tesla is a company that I see as so ridiculously profitable, as really what looks like the only real succeeding electric vehicle manufacturer in North America. The only one. You could give Rivian credit. They're starting to do well. You can give them credit. They're starting to do better. But volume's a fraction, obviously, of what Teslas are. But they'll catch up. But for now, they're really the only one succeeding, Tesla. It's not going to matter in the long term. They'll blow right through any unionization efforts. And you got 1,000 workers in Germany looking to unionize at Giga Berlin already. It's probably going to happen. They can't fire everybody. But you know what? As the economy improves, rates come down, selling cars gets easier, it's going to be a drop in the bucket. It's not going to be a big deal. Short-term catalyst, I'm looking right through it as an investor in Tesla.
Is there a contradiction? You can't do stock comp and be a part of a union?
I don't know if that's true. I think you can offer stock comp.
I thought I read something. We can keep going, but I might be wrong on that. But
maybe a company would be disincentivized from doing it if they're paying a lot and just straight
wages
cash.
or something like that.
Yeah.
That's true, because Elon's counter is like, well, I give counter, or I've given stock comp to early employees. Sure, that's fine, but what good does stock comp do to anyone that you've hired over the last 3 years?
Yeah.
It's been flat, bro. And quite frankly, it's been average flat, which means you're probably negative. Your stock comp is actually worth less right now. So you could have gotten a job at Tesla, 2 years ago, and you're upside down on your options. You're like, oh, yeah, okay, stock comp. I'd rather have higher wages. Well, yeah, duh.
And they're probably not giving you straight stock. They're probably giving you RSUs, which I'm pretty sure you get taxed up front on that too. So it can go downhill really quick.
Yeah, you get double burned, basically. Yeah. Exactly.
Let's react to this Barron piece here.
Yeah. So, and this not to be confused with Barron's magazine. This is
Barron.
Mr. Barron. Mr.
Yes.
Barron. Let's hear it.
And then I'll show you Musk's response to this right after too.
Worrying about the Cybertruck and the U.S. consumer.
I met Elon in 2010. It took me 4 years of doing research before we ultimately decided to invest. And we invested between 2014 and 2016. We invested a total of approximately $400 million, $380 million. In 3 years is when we were buying stock, and that was it. and the average price, and we've made about 20 times our money since then.
Yeah.
We made at the peak, and we probably made about $5.5 billion in profits so far, and I think we'll make another 5 times in the next 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 years. What
Wow.
made us buy it is that he's a mission-driven person.
Yep.
His idea was to try to convert the United States, the world, from using petrol to using electricity. I thought initially it was unlikely he'd be successful. That's when I met him in 2010. 2014, I had become convinced he would become successful. And we invested approximately 2% of our assets at that time, 2% of the 21 or $22 billion that we had under management. We now have about 41 billion. And of the 41 billion, 40 billion is profits that we made for our clients over the past, since 1992. So basically, we invested because I thought there was a big upside. I thought he was a brilliant guy. I still think that. We continue to work on our research in this company all the time. Virtually every week, we're talking to someone there. I was out in Palo Alto a week ago, and I was there for an afternoon. And I met with 2 executives who were the people who were in charge of autonomous driving and also in charge of compute, of what NVIDIA does, the chips. So what we're always doing, we're trying to understand how a business operates and what's special about it and why other people can't do the same thing. And in the case of Tesla, we are convinced that people cannot do what they're doing, and that ultimately it's not just going to be a car company, it's not just going to be a battery company, but ultimately all the other car companies, which 50 years ago elected to become much more profitable and outsource supplies and compute to other people, we're going to be like Intel was inside of computers. This is going to be Tesla inside of cars. All the cars are going to be using Tesla, autonomous driving. No one else can possibly compete.
Wow.
Of course, you haven't just worried.
Wow. Okay. Wow. A lot of things to unpackage here. First of all, love the Intel comparison. Now, Intel's not really that anymore today. People are bringing their own chips in-house. Intel is going to be more of a manufacturer, in my opinion. That's why I love Intel, for that reason solely, manufacturing. Don't care so much about the chips. But great comparison. Back in the day, we need the jingle, Intel Pentium inside or Intel Centrino inside. That was if you asked anybody about chips, nobody would talk about Doritos or Frito or NVIDIA chips or AMD. They would just talk about Intel. That's it. That's all everybody knew. People knew Intel. So great comparison. And I actually think that is probably the bullish narrative that you would need in order to actually envision Tesla being a 10 to 20x from where it is now. I think you need the Tesla inside, basically, of every car. Instead of it's Intel inside, it's Tesla inside. Don't drive Elon's car, but have Elon's brain inside. You don't have to buy his car, but buy his brain. I think most people would agree with that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, part of Intel's success too is what they would do is anytime a competitor would come up, they would just drop their chip prices. It doesn't matter if they were taking a loss, but it would basically scare off the competition.
Sure.
And it kind of makes me think of as rates are going up and EVs are getting more expensive for the average consumer, Tesla kept dropping the prices.
Yep.
And now what do you do? What do you get to is a stage where everyone else is like, well, EVs are too expensive, so we're going to stop making them now. And Tesla basically
too expensive to make, exactly, because prices are coming down so much. So the losses are, Elon created a price war basically, where he's destroying all the competition by lowering prices. And as he destroys the competition by lowering prices, they all exit their investments. Yeah. They cut their R&D on EVs, and then who's the only one left when they're gone? It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Ron Barron's right. I also think it's very fascinating because I, too, have been boots on the ground in Palo Alto talking with at least one executive over at Tesla in the IR department. I think the people at Tesla are wonderful. And I can have my criticisms of Elon while at the same time thinking the people at Tesla are great people and smart people and working hard. But I do think they are very passionate on sharing their opinions and thoughts and processes. And I also met some course members up in Palo Alto who also worked at Tesla, and they were talking to me about some Tesla things. And it's very, very exciting. I mean, the future of Tesla is great. I agree. I don't know if I'm that bullish as Ron here, but Ron didn't even mention the Optimus. And I think that is like your icing on the cake for Tesla. is really exciting as an investor. If you could just hold on to your shares through the volatility, I think the reward will be great. Obviously, no guarantees, but yeah, I agree. Somebody here whose name is actually Tesla Hodler says maybe somebody else at Tesla should be CEO. Yeah, I agree with that. I think there's a fascination with the CEO title for like Elon. It's like, oh no, I could be the CEO of everything.
Even though he just says he despises titles.
Where he despises titles, he actually also despises the work of being a CEO, right? He's talked about that before because there are executive compliance responsibilities that you have with the SEC or otherwise that are more boring. They're not like they're not visionary tasks that you have to complete, like signing off on financial statements and compliance programs and audits and all this. These things take time.
Yeah.
Your signature has to actually mean something. So look, this is a great bull thesis here by Ron, and I know we've talked about licensing FSD before, but I love that Intel comparison. I've never thought of that perspective before, and I appreciate that perspective because now it's not Intel inside, it's Tesla inside. Yeah. That's brilliant.
Something that I thought was quite interesting is this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, and at first I thought this was actually a back step, but almost exactly a year ago, October 20th, 2022 is when Elon said that he thinks that Tesla will be worth more than Apple and Saudi Aramco combined.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, I thought that was like 10 trillion, but actually it's 4.4. So he's still in line. Everybody's still in that $4 trillion vision. But I have to think, from 1 trillion to 4 trillion, that's only a 4x. Is that somewhat disappointing as an investor? Are you looking for something more?
It's a $700 billion stock now. It's gone down a little bit.
Well, most people.
So that's a 5.7, McKay.
Yeah, okay. All right. But is that, as an investor, is that something a little disappointing that the growth is already that compressed? Like the most you're going to get to 4x at this point.
No, because I think that is not like an end goal. I think that's the number where once you're really sort of peaking out on the exponential growth curve that is still mostly ahead of Tesla, you probably arrive closer to those figures, and then you become more of like an Apple that then grows at lower. The last 5 years at Apple, what's really been innovated? You've got the M chips, okay? We could argue the M chips has been an innovation, but the consumer doesn't really look at that and go, oh my gosh, it's any different from just like the next and greatest Intel line, even if it's better. They flopped so far on their 5G modems, and yes, we got this idea that they're going to be the Vision Pro glasses, but again, it's just an idea right now.
Yeah.
The iPhone 15 was supposed to have Vision filming, so like Vision Pro ready filming software so that you could start filming today and then view back your Vision Pro footage in the future. And every trip I'm going on, I'm like, oh, Vision Pro footage. And I'm like, oh, wait, they haven't released that software update yet, right? So eventually Tesla will get to that. Optimus could be that next S-curve, the stacking S-curve, which is very exciting. But your question is, should people be disappointed about the stock going from 220 to so that would be 5.7x, that would be 220 times 5.7, that would be about 1254-ish, and then let's say that's over what, 6 years?
5 to 10, sure.
5, 10, yeah. Okay, so why don't we go 7.5 years?
Okay.
So 7.5 years, that is a compounded rate of return of 26% per year.
Brilliant.
So no, I don't think people should be disappointed
I think
by
really
that.
in the last 3 years, people have gotten desensitized to like what stocks actually return. It's all because of these meme stocks that have been running.
Yes.
But that's so far removed from the reality of how the market usually works.
Well, people think like, oh my gosh, this stock went up 30% in a day. Well, you didn't have your portfolio in that stock the day before that happened. And if you did, you probably wrote it down 90%.
And the SEC is probably going to be calling your phone.
Yeah. So, but even if it took 10 years, your compounded annual rate of return would be 19%. You know what Warren Buffett is famous for is like a 16 to 17% rate of return.
Because he did it consistently, and that's what was crazy.
Well, yeah, and this would be like if Tesla went today on average from 220 all the way up to, maybe it goes down a little more, but whatever, ended up from today 12 years from now, for example, or 10 years from now to keep the number consistent, going to 1250 10 years from now. That's 19% per year, assumed, consistent,
you'd
compounded
be beating
annual.
the best investor of all time,
Exactly.
basically.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, again, to answer the question, no, you shouldn't be disappointed. Even if you look at what's his name? George Soros. That guy has like a compounded annual return of like 13%. And to get to 13%, it would take 14 years. Like, so if it took 14 years for Tesla to become a $1,254 stock, that would be a compounded annual rate of return of 13.2% per year. That's actually also very good.
As long as you're beating the S&P 500, that's
That way you
that's a
can
win.
flex on people, bro.
Yeah. So Musk did have a response to this Barron interview. I have it on my screen here. He says, "We do need to knock the ball out of the park several times to achieve that value, but I think we can."
See,
Yeah.
and that's the Elon we wanted to hear on the earnings call. Like, yes, it will be hard, but I think we can.
Right.
We did not get the second part of that on the earnings call. We got the last part of that. Wait,
We'd have to knock the ball out of the park several times.
That's all we
yeah,
heard. It's like it's Mission Impossible, Mission Impossible, Mission Impossible.
Well,
we didn't get the, I think
like,
we can.
If we took this tweet and reworded it as Elon on the earnings call, which is what you're saying, it would be like, I don't know, Ron. Interest rates are really high right now, and we're actually slowing down because this is unsustainable.
And we buried the ball.
Period. yeah.
The factory floor is cold.
Yeah. So that is what a bear Elon sounds like, what we just exemplified. That right there is a cautiously optimistic CEO. That's what you want on an earnings call. It's kind of like, even though like Enphase is in the toilet, you have the CEO, he's like, look, the next few months with these interest rates are going to be harder as we get through inventory, but we're looking to start recovering and growing again back to, trend sometime by Q2 2024. That is a cautiously optimistic but then realistic CEO. What we had on the last earnings call, people were like, oh, Kevin, he was just being realistic. He was being negatively realistic, right? That's like the worst combination. It's like, you wake up and somebody's like, oh, how's your morning? It's like, terrible. Why? Well, I just know it's going to suck because, my days always suck. Well, geez, I guess it's going to suck then. So that's they call that the negative cloud. That's like from some psychology books, the negative cloud. Then there's always somebody in life around you. It's often in people's families where one person has the negative cloud and they're always the as people say, the Debbie Downer. They come into the room and everybody's mood just goes down because they always have something to complain about. It's a problem. Nobody wants that, and stocks don't react well to that at all, as we saw. So anyway, look, I couldn't agree more with Ron. I'm actually surprised to see somebody like Cathie cutting so much of Tesla as she has been. Now, I know it's been so far functioning for her because obviously Tesla came down from like 290 to 220 now and 200 just a few days ago. But I think that is a long-term mistake. Is she still going in on like the teledocs and that?
Well, I think it was more outflows than her wanting to cut.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're funding outflows by selling Tesla, then that means you're increasing your allocation theoretically to some of these other stocks. Let's see what her weights are right now.
So Roku is her largest weight.
Yeah, 9.38%.
So,
Coinbase.
Wow. Roku, Coinbase, Tesla.
Wow, dude. Wait a minute. Okay, so Coinbase, I get it as spec on crypto. Okay, I get that. Roku, though, the company that wants to get into manufacturing TVs and the worst time ever to manufacture TVs. I mean, how have they done? Like, I haven't looked at them in a while.
They were one of our biggest runners today. They're up 50% in the last 5 days.
Wow. Okay, well, so they've done well. Last year up 70%. That blows my. Okay, but watch this. From peak, they're down 82% after the 50% run over the last few days. How crazy is that? I mean, that is comparing to peak, but you're down 80% and then you're up 50%. When you zoom out over the 5-year chart, it's like giant cliff straight down and then boop, the tiny little tick up there on the right side. Now, Roku.
Can we actually throw this on the screen, Christian, while we're talking about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Roku is not what I'm personally very optimistic in. Neither is Zoom. I think they really rely on this commercial adoption of work from home and the Zoom Spaces. Not the biggest fan. Yeah, there we go. Cathie's ARK. It's a good website. Not the biggest fan. The reason I bring these up is because regardless of the stock performance of these, which Zoom's not that great. Certainly, it's not. I mean, I don't even think Roku's great. I think you're down 80% from peak. That's a big problem for Roku. But the point is, these two stocks, I personally don't see it. Why would you have those two stocks so high and Roku higher than Tesla? Mm-hmm. I could not make a reasonable argument for why I think Roku is better than Tesla.
It might have been because of its recent run up that it just has like a higher weight now.
Maybe that's I mean, I suppose, but then why continue selling Tesla? I mean, I guess unless it was just more recent. But that does surprise me. For me, that'd be something I personally would look at rebalancing a little bit. I mean, I don't mind some of these other companies. I actually like the innovative stuff that, and this is ARK, by the way. I like Cathie's innovation focus. Right, I'm a big fan of that. I think Palantir is a way better play than UiPath, but I think UiPath has great potential. Square, they got their banking license. I think that's has some crypto potential play in there. Roblox prints money for their devs. The company's got to figure it out. Shopify, not bad. CRISPR, real big potential for the future. I don't think these stocks are horrible companies. Archer Aviation, I personally don't. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't think that's going to go anywhere. The sort of like drone Ubers, the eVTOLs, and that we're a while away from that kind of stuff. So that doesn't make me very enthusiastic. But I think I'm surprised that Tesla is so relatively low compared to
I
some of these
wonder.
others.
Here's actually something interesting. I wonder if Roku is a larger weight because it's run so much.
That's what I was just saying,
that's what
yeah.
Mikey was
Oh,
just
sorry, I
saying.
told
Yeah,
you.
That in addition to the cryptocurrency running recently too, maybe that's pushed Coinbase
push
up
those
too.
over. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's entirely possible. I think that's a good suggestion. That could be.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. But anyway, with Tesla, I don't have much negative to say here. I do wish, obviously, they'd advertise. We know that already. That's why we released a second Tesla ad on Twitter.
One of my favorite
X.
responses to that actually is here, throw this on the screen. This is a graph that a follower made of Tesla advertising impression by source.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was a fun ad to film the second one.
Oh yeah, I mean, all of the ones we did, we got to release some more of them. So I think that's really, really cool. Somebody here says thoughts on Elon and X becoming the next great finance hub.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
Like, let's just start to see demos. Like, he's talked about making it. Like, they've been getting these financial licenses for a while, but it's like, where's the product? Like,
It's
I know
a tough
it takes
business
time.
to get into right now. It's a tough time. Like, banks are substantially down. You look at PayPal, you look at SoFi. These stocks are all depressed. Square, they're all depressed. For a money losing business, no time soon. In a bull market, this will be easy for them to do. Easy in a bull market. Very hard right now to build that out, but it'll come.
I wonder if Tesla, if Elon kind of says the same thing that you kind of say on the channel and both to the team. It's like, survive the hard time right now. Like, just get through to the end. As soon as rate cuts, then we moon.
Oh yeah.
Like, I wonder if Elon like literally just says like survive, like
Oh,
get
yeah.
through what we need to get through, and then we moon.
100%. I 100% believe that. Yeah. Well, and that's why I'm as allocated to Tesla as I am, which is a lot, because I believe it. I think that this is the only car company that actually, in my opinion, has real pricing power. It obviously, when you look outside, like you have to look within the sector, right? So within the autos, Tesla has the greatest pricing power. That there's almost no question about that. And then I think you can get into some of the luxury companies, which can be like your Rolls-Royce, your Bentleys, these more like custom cars. Like I think that's your next lineup for pricing power. Ferrari would probably be up there, but like these daily drivers, the Fords, the Toyotas, I think there's limited pricing power with the technology you now face with Tesla, and the quality's getting better. It's really phenomenal. So there's no question of that for me, and they'll be great winners as rates come down. So big fan of Tesla. Ron will end up being right. It's just a question of how long is it going to take? I think less than 10 years.
Credit to Ron for what was it, 2010 that he put 400 million into?
2014.
2014.
Between 2014 and 2016. Yeah. No, I mean, great job. He did a great job. Yeah. So it's also nice to be able to have $400 million between 2014 and 2016 to throw at it.
Yeah.
So credit to him for building his career.
It would be cool to learn how he got to that $400 million mark before Tesla.
That'd
be cool.
Oh,
Just to
you mean
learn.
how he calculated it out?
No. Just
How
how
he
he
made
it.
how he
Like this?
accumulated that much money.
How he raised the capital.
Just how he raised that much capital to get there.
Yeah. Well, he's a fund manager.
I know that, but like, what did he invest into to get to that point?
Well, you attract more funds, so you run ads and tell everybody how great your company is, and then you get more funds. But no, I'm sure obviously to attract funds, you have to perform also.
Yeah.
You know, so you're right. Yeah, it would be interesting to look at his history, just like it's interesting to look at, you know, the Buffetts and things like that. I mean, he founded his cap management company back in '82, so he's been doing this for a while.
Been
That's
around the
kinda cool.
block.
You know, that's actually, if you think about it, what a fantastic time to start a wealth management business. Paul Volcker era.
Yeah.
82 was Paul Volcker. So you had 40 years of disinflation to invest in. Did stocks automatically go up? Wow.
I think that's a little general. You still have to be right.
Of course I'm generalizing, but
I
like
feel like
still.
that's a little like discredits Ron Barron a little bit to say like, oh, you invested at the
No,
perfect
what I'm
year.
saying is, if I could go back into history and pick a time to have started a fund within the last 40 years, I would have picked 1982. I'm saying that is really lucky. Like, good for you. Fantastic. You know, I'm not saying he's a bad investor, he's a bad manager, because I'm like, good job, man. Like, we launched the ETF in November of 2022. And, you know, I think that's going to end up being pretty dang close to the bottom of the stock market. You know, I think the bottom will end up having been like December of 22. But we'll see. You know, that we'll know within the next 40 years, I guess.
Wow, so Tesla's actually his top holding still. 12% of his fund.
Okay, so he's putting his money where his mouth is.
CoStar Group, a real estate company, is
CoStar LoopNet, yeah.
CoStar Group Inc. is what the company is.
Yeah. They do LoopNet,
Garter
commercial
Inc.,
real estate.
Arch Capital, Laboratories Inc. Interesting.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff.
I love seeing that. So 12%. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, well, how much does this fund have? $45 billion in AUM.
It's a lot of dollars.
A good amount of
I think
money.
Cathie actually has more than him in AUM.
Currently?
Let's find out, because I could go to ARK Flow. I want to find the holdings. But yeah, I mean, she used to have, I mean, the amount of AUM they used to have was insane. So her fund has actually been getting inflows. People have been buying the dip on ARK in the last, because it's been dipping. I mean, everything's been dipping that's tech focused since mid-July. In fact, I think you mentioned the Kramer ETF.
Yeah, the inverse Kramer, yeah.
Yeah. So, wow. Okay. Well, anyway, we'll find out about the ARK funds AUM, but I think we got to get a few more topics, and then I think we actually have a visitor coming in, like,
great.
it's
Now.
scheduled to now. So,
All right, so Israel-Palestine first. You want to do the Trump stuff?
let's get Trump out of the way. That's
Okay.
great.
So Trump court case has been happening. We had Don Trump Jr. testified at the beginning of this week, and then Eric Trump just finished his second day of testimony too. So Trump Jr., he said he signed off but didn't verify any of these key documents related to the fraud case. He said that he trusted a lot of his legal team, and basically he just signed off on it. But so remember, for context too, the judge has already ruled fraud in this case. It's just a matter of like who committed the fraud, who was involved in it. So that's why these guys are on the docket.
You know, what's interesting is I was reading in the Times about this as well, with because there's always so much drama involved with Trump, and I find it's so entertaining because I'm always trying to look and go like, what is he going to do next? Like, how are they going to cause the next stir? And so today the big stir was, Eric Trump's testifying, and apparently the attorneys for Trump are just bashing on the court clerk. While Eric Trump is like, hey man, that wasn't my responsibility as an executive. I don't know how to value these properties. It wasn't part of my job description. And it's just hilarious because he knows chaos theory. And that's really what's happening in the Middle East too, is this chaos theory, which, obviously we'll hit on Israel here in a moment. But one of the things, it makes a perfect transition on this chaos theory idea, is the chaos of even what jihad is. We were having a discussion about this in the office earlier. Foreign Affairs had this phenomenal piece, and it reminds me somewhat of what's going on with like Trump's empire, because there's so many different directions. It's like he can never be wrong. In a weird way, and I know it's a weird comparison, but the same is true of the global jihad movement, because you've got Hamas, obviously, that attacked Israel. Okay, well, get this. Al-Qaeda is like, hell yeah. Mujahideen, which is like, guerrilla warfare against the anti-Muslim individuals, Islamic fighters, we call them. Well, Al-Qaeda's like, let's go, good job, Hamas. And you've got different Al-Qaeda branches throughout the country, India, China, whatever. They're cheering on what Hamas is doing. But then you have ISIS that's like, yeah, we actually disagree with Al-Qaeda. We disagree with Hamas because Hamas is, saying their jihad is to take land. Well, our jihad is just to rid the world of Western people and Jews. And it's like, okay, wait, this is so chaotic.
Yeah.
Like, even the jihadists can't get on the same page.
Yeah.
And I quite frankly feel like that's how, like, Trump is running his like legal defense. And I know it's a crazy comparison, but I find it so interesting because it's like, all right, attack the court clerk, say crap on Twitter, get on Truth Social, say that. You say something stupid on that testimony, you there. And it's literally chaos. And it's so entertaining.
It's entertaining.
Yeah.
So everyone's kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall, let's say, to see what sticks. Eric Trump was saying, like, this whole thing is a joke. This is a waste of taxpayer money. Like, I'm completely innocent. I have no idea what they're talking about. I've never seen any of this, like, any of these properties.
Chaos. Oh, yeah. Nobody knows those properties, including me.
Even though they showed emails of, like, well, you signed off on all these and you responded to all these.
Nope.
That was my assistant.
There was actually I think it's I'm the boss. I'm the boss. This is Lonely Island skit on YouTube.
Like a boss.
Like a boss. Like a boss. This is like 13-year throwback or whatever. And at the end of it, the guy questions him. Oh, the boss guy. He's like, you chopped your dick off and died. And the guy's like, nope.
Yeah.
And like, we just saw them do it. And he's like, are you sure? Nah, man, that ain't me. That's basically like the drama of the time. You signed right here. Nope. It's like, what do you do?
Trump's defense was, so during this trial too, the court clerk is writing notes and passing them over to the judge. And so the attorney was like, you're not supposed to do that because you guys are both super biased and you're just like getting in the way of all this stuff. And so the judge was like, well, first of all, these are confidential messages. I can do them with my clerk. You have no right to see them. You have no right to complain. And in fact, screw you, gag order on you too. So the judge extended the partial gag order on Trump to his legal defense now, basically saying, stop talking crap about the court.
This reminds me literally of middle school.
Yeah.
Where like the teacher's trying to control the classroom, but the class clown is able to like instigate all of the other clowns. And so you have an uprising at all the different parts of the classroom. And the teacher's just like, I can't take it anymore.
Trump is going to testify on Monday. I can't wait to see what that episode's like.
Yeah, that episode. Chaos Theory,
Tune
man.
in next week.
Yeah, this should just be a Netflix show. Chaos Theory. That's what they should call it. The documentary of the Trump trials. Chaos Theory.
See, an SBF did the complete opposite. He could have sent them in so many different directions, but instead he was like,
no. Yeah.
he just shrugged his shoulders like he had no idea.
Because he's an idiot.
He shouldn't have testified.
He's just an idiot. Like, if you want a definition of how to do everything wrong, he is the definition of that. Anyway, okay. So if you want an example of what not to do, there you go.
Ivanka Trump, last one. She's also going to testify on Wednesday.
That is going to be fascinating because I actually think Ivanka and Jared, who have distanced themselves somewhat from Donald, I think that Ivanka and Jared have reasonableness to a different level than the rest of the Trump cohort. And I'm not saying that, Trump's unreasonable. I mean, sometimes he is. Sometimes he makes a lot of sense, right? So there's always, like, even people who like Trump, they're like, okay, yeah, look, there are things I agree with. There are things I don't like about him, right? But Ivanka and Jared, I'm very curious. If I had to put them in groups, they strike me as much more of, like, the Pence type business person, the Mike Pence type, like, all right, let's think this through. How can we negotiate this situation, right? Whereas Donald's like, you're going to pay for it, and screw you, and I'm going to bomb you.
We heard it from Barbara's mouth, and we've heard it from Elon. Like, Trump, it just walks in there, just chaos in any negotiation. Just blows
chaos.
Everything up.
Because it's actually one of the most powerful ways to negotiate is by having chaos. So it's a very different style from, I think, the Ivanka and Jared's. So I am very curious, especially with how they've distanced themselves from Trump. I'm curious how much they're going to come to, whether they're going to go silent mode. Are they going to say bad things about Donnie, or are they going to come to his defense? That's going to be very interesting.
McKay, you said the gag order for the what is it? The election interference, was that lifted today?
It was paused, I believe, so he can testify.
You know what that
Dude,
explains?
sorry, I can't. We need to turn poverty chat off here, but this is so good. Like somebody's like, they must have the safest sex ever. Okay, sorry.
Keep going, poverty chat.
He's endorsing it.
The pause on the gag order perfectly explains what's on my screen right now. Trump wasted no time on Truth Social. Christian, do your thing if you could.
He knew specifically about the election, gag order. Yeah, appeals court freezes gag order against Trump in federal election.
He wasted no time. That's funny.
His all caps.
That's awesome.
Okay. Let's blast through some Israel stuff.
Yes. Okay. Blast through some.
Yo, that's not what I even meant. You guys handle the rest of the pod with that.
All right, so I actually read something interesting on the Wall Street Journal.
You read? Sorry. Okay. Go ahead.
You're the bomb, McKay.
I'm gonna stop reading your emails while I'm at it and let you handle it. I read that people are telling Israel to call for a ceasefire, like, hey,
yes.
like let the aid in, let the aid in, let
yes.
the aid in. And like the front page of this, like Israel does not let aid into Gaza Strip. Right. But in reality, they're like, oh no, we will let aid in, but let the hostages go.
Yeah.
And so that's their one thing is like we will stop ceasefire as soon as the hostages go.
And that was what I alluded to earlier with the softening we're starting to see. Because so far it's been like, we're not stopping until Hamas is dead. We're not stopping, we're not stopping, we're not stopping. For the first time in the last, 25 days or whatever this has been going on, we've actually seen Israel say, okay, we'd stop if you release all the hostages.
Yeah.
This is very good progress. This is understated, extremely good. I think it's part of the reason why oil's falling. Though the bears are saying the reason oil's falling, Kevin, is because we're going to a recession. I'm like, well, generally you don't see oil spike anyway when Israel has conflict. It's usually when other countries have conflict. So look, everybody's got an argument here, but this is great progress. We need to talk Tate. What is Andrew Tate saying? Because I have things to say about him.
All right. He's got we can watch this reaction video afterwards too that McKay had for you from yesterday.
It's 4 minutes. It's not super controversial.
Well,
if we want to, we can.
So then what we'll continue with.
Who is it? What is it? The video?
It's just about once you climb to the top, basically more money, more problems.
It's like a controversial.
Let's listen to it. Let's listen to it, and then we'll end it on that.
Okay. Well, first I wanted to actually tell you one more Tate thing. He tweeted, "The Matrix attacks continue. Meta has banned me from using WhatsApp, so now he's currently banned from Gmail and Uber." Airbnb.
Gmail, too.
No emails for him. Facebook, Instagram.
That means you have to use,
WhatsApp.
like, Yahoo.
What's that?
Ew.
Tate at yahoo.com. That's like the most unmatched. Tate at yahoo.com.
SoundCloud, every bank, because he's like on a list now, so he can't open bank accounts. Discord, YouTube, Apple IDs, TikTok, all of that.
Apple. Whoa. Yep. Wow. Wow. Those are some serious attacks, man.
But what kind of killed me is he tweeted, "These are my solutions to the ban." And so throw this on the screen. Because he's banned from Uber now, he goes, "The only way I could possibly get around is to fly my Bugatti from place to place on a jet."
So that is more than a jet, man. That's like a
cargo airline.
That's cargo, man. That's air freight. That's very expensive. You don't do that much. That's what you do when you buy the car.
Yeah.
That's how you get the car air freighted to you when you purchase the vehicle.
When you're on house arrest.
And you get that once.
Is that how you got your Bugatti?
Yeah. This is, but yeah, that's very, very rare that you would fly a vehicle around. I mean, it's so ridiculously inefficient and expensive. Anyway, okay. So what else? Where's this?
Do you want to
thing?
grab that video?
Yeah, I'll grab it in a second here.
I wonder if he's banned from like the plane rental companies he uses to fly around.
Actually, we should bring this up next week. He actually talked about why he doesn't own a jet. He just said it's too expensive. He just said like
because he doesn't fly enough.
Yeah, he's like, I don't fly. Like, it didn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean that's totally reasonable.
Okay, so this is it. I actually woke up and I saw this. Like, I want to hear Kevin's thoughts about this.
All right, let's hear it, and then we'll wrap up.
You have to love the chaos. You have to love the war. You have to love the idea of all the constant problems that you have to fix. You have to love being the center of a mini universe you have created, and it's going to implode under its own gravity if you're not there doing constant Aikido.
Yeah.
That's how kings have always felt. Do you think Alexander the Great didn't feel that? You think Julius Caesar didn't feel that? You think Genghis Khan didn't feel that when he's getting all these reports from thousands of miles away that his borders are being attacked by this unknown group of bandits, and he's at constant war in 7 different directions, and his wife's probably complaining at the same time, and his favorite horse just died, and he's walking around doing Mongolian Aikido? Of course he was. That's all anyone who's been important has ever done. If you're looking for calm and peace, you won't matter. I actually said this before. People were talking about how do you decide or how do you know if someone's going to be monumentally successful in the world? And then everyone knows, because there's been large studies on it, that IQ level is not how you dictate it. And I'll tell you how you dictate it. Somebody's tolerance to stress. The better you are at dealing with stress, the more successful you will be, because as you climb up the ladder, the stress level increases. It is a direct positive correlation between success and stress. They go together. There's no light without dark. The more money you're paid, the more important you are, the bigger your problems. They said it, more money, more problems. It goes together. I'm not complaining because I'm prepared to handle those problems. But as you get bigger and larger and larger and larger, the pressure is heavier and heavier. So I'm going deeper in the ocean. As you go deeper in the ocean of success, the pressure around you gets stronger. Only the strongest submarines can make it to the bottom. None of that ocean gate garbage.
Titan.
Mr. fucking plywood. No, most of you are made of plywood. Or you try and blag it. You try and put it together cheap. Wonder why you get crushed at the bottom. You have to build your hull, build your skills, build your network, learn Aikido. Decide to become the kind of person who adopts as many problems that he can solve as possible, so once they're all solved, he reaps the rewards and builds a fantastically large empire with so much money he can't possibly spend it, internationally renowned and respected. But decide to be the guy who's never had a day off gym for an entire year. You know, I haven't had a rest day from the gym in years. Every day I train. Every day. People talk about how your muscles don't grow unless you're resting. I don't care. I go every day because I go to teach myself a lesson. And I don't want to go, and it's boring, and I'm busy, and every single day I still go, so I learn about discipline and pain and suffering. Even at my old age, with my long, difficult life, I'm still going to the gym every day to punish myself and show God that I am motivated and disciplined, and no matter what happens, I will not miss a single gym session ever. 1,000 push-ups a day in jail. And you wonder why I have everything I've ever wanted. It's actually fantastically easy. You just have to do things. Get up and actually try, actually work, stop looking for shortcuts, stop being a lazy loser, stop being an idiot, stop scrolling garbage, and actually try, and you can have it. The universe is full of blessings. Let me explain to you how the universe works. The universe has this big bag of blessings. It's full of it, and it's sitting there going, let me find somebody who works hard and deserves blessings, and I'll get some blessings out the bag and give it to them. And the reason the bag's so full is because nobody works hard enough to deserve it. It's like walking around with all this charity money and you can't find a single charity that actually helps people and feeds people. They're all just corrupt garbage. The blessings are endless. It's all waiting. They want to give it to you. The universe wants to give you everything you've ever desired. The problem is none of you deserve it because none of you try. It is waiting for you to actually put some effort in so that you light up like a light bulb as, hey, God, universe, I'm actually trying my best. I haven't missed a single gym session. I'm not being lazy. I'm not being stupid. I'm not lying. I'm not snaking my friends. I'm not scrolling social media. I'm not being a dork. I'm not jerking off. And then all of a sudden they'll come along and give you everything you've ever wanted. And you'll go, wow, that was actually fantastically easy. All I had to do was listen to Tate, stop watching all these other fucking nerds, stop doing all this other crap that's wasting my time. Just do as Tate says. Strong body, strong mind, work hard. Inside the real world, we teach you exactly how to make money. What more do you want?
All right. Well, so let's respond to this. So, I mean, this is very like the classic, like the motivational Tate. I honestly, I'm going to start with the negative. I'm going to then go to the positive. I don't think this guy works long and hard. I don't think this guy works long and hard at all.
He skips gym days for sure.
Well, maybe whether he skips gym days or not, I think he spends most of his time in their compound in Romania, and it's actually relatively chill. Like, it's easy to make your life look busy by saying you're always busy. But I don't know that they're, like, when you look at the content that they put out in, like, the what they do in their, what is it? I don't know, whatever, Discord thing or whatever. It's like other people making content for him from what I've seen. He's done some videos, some sit-down videos. It's like, okay, well, great. Some of these you did a few years ago or whatever, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's like, how much more are you doing on a daily basis now? Like, where are the next companies you're building or the next ambitions you have? Great. Like, maybe today was, guys, we got to make the 5-minute motivational video and then move on. I really discount how much that guy works. I would be surprised if he works harder than 20 hours a week. But he says it, and he's got everybody convinced that he works hard. So, A, that's my take. That's the negative. Number two, slightly disagree with the idea that the more successful you get, the more stressed you are, because that comes down to management. Because if that were true, you would collapse and die. You'd have a heart attack and die. So there's a balance element here, because the more you do, the better your systems need to be, and the better and more efficient you need to become. But you could actually be doing more, but be less stressed, because you could be more in control. So I think he's wrong about that. I do believe that more money, more problems is true. But if you have the systems in place, you can deal with those with less stress. So for example, I'll give you an example. I buy my first property, first renovation or whatever. It's like, oh my gosh, the floor might have asbestos adhesive under it. That's like, okay, so we're talking about a few $1,000s problem. Okay, so now it's like, oh my gosh, 50 properties could have asbestos under the flooring. I'm much less stressed about 50 properties having asbestos in the flooring than I am about one, because I have the system in place to deal with it. It's honestly like I lose zero seconds of my life worrying about that today. Whereas back then it was just like days of like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Honey, should we still buy the house? It has asbestos. Right? Like, so that's just an example of how, no, more money does not necessarily mean more stress. How you handle it matters. But look, I mean, this idea of, do you think that Caesar didn't have problems or Genghis Khan didn't have problems worrying about the borders and stuff? Well, Genghis Khan was the one doing the attacking, so probably not.
Yeah.
But anyway, look, yeah, like that's why they built the wall, the Great Wall of China, after all, okay? He's the offensive one here, okay? But anyway, so minus these problems, yes. Can you go out there and work hard and make more money? Hell yeah, I'm a believer in that. Absolutely. Do you need stress tolerance to climb up the ladder? Absolutely. We have a saying, the harder I work, the luckier I get. Yep. Totally agree with that. But as far as like stop scrolling and go work hard, yeah, I agree. I think you can learn more from deep form discussion in YouTube formats or reading. Reading is really underestimated and very unsexy. But, you know, Andrew Tate's not going to come out and say, guys, you should read and listen to long form content, because it's not the sexy, work hard, be a man, stay hard. You know? What am I missing? And then we got to go.
Dude, for someone who talks about all this like positive stuff, like this motivational stuff, why is he so angry about it? I get everything that I've ever wanted because I'm not an idiot. Dude, chill. If like you're living a good life, like be a little bit more positive. I don't know.
Because maybe he pretends to live a good life. I mean, you're stuck in the Romanian compound, and you know, there's a lot of hate in the world. How much money is he actually making? You know, everybody can buy a Bugatti, okay? You know, so you know, like I said, what is he really doing other than working out in the gym and continuing to promote some of the products that he has? Where's his new and innovative stuff? What's he actually doing to change and motivate and provide? I mean, the tweets are motivating, but like really provide more value to the world than what he has been doing in terms of, because it gets redundant. Like, how often can you listen to the same motivational stuff? So, you know, that's my criticism of Tate. And I know there are a lot of like Tate disciples. Oh, you can't say anything bad about Tate. I don't give a crap. You don't have to like what I say. I'm going to say it anyway. So what am I missing?
I thought it was a good take. Do you think that...
Am I missing that I should have left like 18, 19 minutes ago?
No, we got to wrap up.
We got to. But so what would you say? Anything I was missing?
Do you think that like the universe does have a bag of blessings that it's wanting to give out to those who get it, or do you think it's not as easy?
Yeah, no, I believe that. It's none of it's easy. It's all hard and it all sucks. But you have to ask yourself, what do you want in life? You know, do you want to get by and pay your bills and just hang out and play video games? I mean, that's really fun. Drink beer and play video games. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I love that. World of Warcraft, RuneScape, Rust, video games. I'll love it all day long. But I'd be depressed. You know, I gotta build, I gotta keep adding value and keep growing. So that's just me. So with that said, even though let's play some music. Even though I'm a licensed financial advisor, you can learn more about it at stackhack.com or my courses at meetkevin.com. I'm a licensed real estate broker, and I'm becoming a stockbroker, which soon I'll be able to say I am a stockbroker. Ooh, buckle up for that. That'll be cool. This video is neither personalized financial nor real estate advice for you. It is not tax, legal, or otherwise personalized advice tailored to you. This video provides generalized perspective, information, and commentary. Any third-party content I show, like StreamYard, go to metkevin.com/StreamYard is a paid promotion affiliate link. metkevin.com/StreamYard. That's how we bring you these streams. I personally operate and actively manage ETF and hold long positions in a lot of the securities we talked about. We talked a lot about Tesla. This is not a research report. The content in this video shall never be deemed reasonably sufficient for the purpose of evaluating its security. I have no relationship to issuers other than HouseHack, nor am I presently acting as a market maker. Damn! That's a lot of
That's a big one.
disclosure.
Hey, next Friday, not this coming Friday, but the following Friday, coupon code day, right?
That's right. BetKevin.com.